AI and data everywhere. The debate about whether to build your own data center or simply leverage cloud service providers and apps has been an ongoing one since cloud providers first appeared on the scene in the early 2000s. Up until now, though, it's appeared to be a trade-off between the control and compliance that comes from building your own versus the perceived simplicity of consuming a service in the cloud. So why can't we have both without compromising complexity and cost? Hello and welcome to the AI Forecast. I'm your host, Paul Muller. Join me along with leading companies and industry experts as we explore the past, the present and the future of data and AI in the enterprise every week, proudly brought to you by Cloudera. Well, to offer his perspective, we're joined by Adam Skotnicky. Adam is VP of Engineering at Cloudera and is the founder of Taikun, a solution that simplifies and unifies the deployment of on-premises AI platforms. Taikun, of course, was acquired by Cloudera in August of 2025. Welcome to the podcast, Adam.
Great to be here.
It's great to have you. Hey, before we get into talking about hybrid clouds and data everywhere, we do something at the beginning of every podcast, the Fast Four, a lightning round. Chance to get to know you a bit.
Let's do it.
We ready to do it?
Yeah.
All right. First question. What would people who know you best, friends, family, work colleagues, say is your superpower?
This is a little bit, US-based question. As I'm from Prague, we don't really play these games too much, but I think it's the power of abstraction over things, like to be able to abstract from technical details and nitty-gritty things to overall bigger picture.
Seems to work well in your business. We talk about AI on the podcast, what it's going to do for business. Question, what would you like to see AI do for you personally in your future?
That I do not interact with AI directly. I don't want to prompt it. I don't want to talk to it. I just want that to be around in things and work as a, behind for my benefit.
That's one of the coolest answers we've ever had. We talk about technology a lot. What's been the most impactful technology of all time, in your opinion?
In my opinion?
Yeah.
And we need to go a little bit back, right? It's in the industrial era, right? When we are able to start scaling things in the mass. That's definitely it's more like era, like from steam engine to electricity. And I think that's the biggest thing because it allows us to connect everything globally.
Last but not least, as someone who works with data every day, what are some of the tips or tricks you've learned as someone who works with data? What helps you work with data best?
For me, data it's not just related to extract information, right? It's also how to handle that in scale and how to move it and how to make it work for everyone, right? That's where I'm coming from below, basically data. So tip and tricks is use as much as abstraction as you can and don't try to be really specific about the outputs. A lot of people take something which they get as a given, right? But you need to always think about the outputs again and try to compare them with the reality yourself. Right? Just not follow blindly what you get.
All right. Well, let's jump into it. Maybe start a bit with your background before we jump into talking about hybrid cloud.
My career is not as long. I started in 2012 as a data center architect. School years were about engineering, electricity I mentioned, right, and things like that, physics of electricity, electrotechnics, electronics. And then I moved to data center building, not really large data center from global point of scale, but really large from place I grew up, which is 1 megawatt data center, basically state of the art. Still today, even after all of the years, we are basically prep the data center for today, which is not always the great thing to do it 15 years prior, right? You don't have really too many customers if they want to have 1 kilowatt rack and you are offering 20 kilowatt rack, which is now the state of the art for the AI stuff, right? Yeah. But we did build it for that, and during the construction, I already started talking about what we will host, because we couldn't host the time just ordinary workload. So we started talking about cloud, right? That time, big topic, as AI now. Like if you go 10 years back in the hype cycle, that was all cloud, right? So moving from dedicated machines to something which is more abstracted, right? So abstraction again. And I started working on that, and I transitioned to cloud leader position.
Yep.
So we're a small team, 3 guys. We started working with some vendor technologies, which failed, didn't work really well. So we decided we will go with open source, and we started working on OpenStack. And really young technology at the time. Huge community though, huge amount of investment that from all of the vendors globally and universities. Amazing. Biggest conferences I ever saw. Really, really interesting. And we were really young, three of us or four of us, and we figured out how to do it. Because we had 1 megawatt data center with really complex enterprise technologies, and we had the task to use the open source technology to move it there. So we did it our way, right? We didn't know anything else, so we did it our way. We thought that our way is inferior to everyone else, but we were not right. Like, we in fact built something which was valuable for other companies. So we spin off the company, we started working. I had already a company before called TCP Cloud, and we started working on OpenStack deployments for large enterprises, because that's where we shined. Like, how we are able to dynamically deploy really, really complex system on hundreds or thousands of servers, and how we are able to manage it and change and everything. No one else was able to do it at the time. And then we got acquired by Mirantis in US, and we started working on really, really big deployments. Mirantis had really big customers, like their flagship customers, like Reliance Jio in India, or Full Telco Cloud for all India, or AT&T Entertainment Group and others. So really, really interesting times. So we work on that, and then Taikun. So really short story, in fact.
That's a great story. So what was the inspiration for it, I guess, was to try and create a more cloud-like experience in your data center, which you would argue is on premises, really, right? Talk to me, because I mentioned the trade-offs at the beginning of the podcast, and I think a lot of technologists would say that the issue with this promise of hybrid has always been, my on-premises stuff, I might do a little bit of automation, but it's nowhere near as slick or as simple as when I'm using a public cloud service where they spend a lot of engineering dollars to make it really like a catalog, self-service. Do you agree that that's been the compromise in the past? And how did you get around that with what you were doing with Taikun?
Definitely true. But I think, like, what we saw the time when we work on these big customers, the reason why they went to public cloud is basically to avoid their internal processes, right? So the companies and the enterprise build a really, really complicated way how to do and manage everything, and that's what stifles them. It's not the technology. Technology is the same. AWS is using open source technologies, bundles them together, create abstraction, and then serve it. It's not really complicated. And over the years, they started with really, really simple service, right? It's the name. It's in the name, right?
Yeah.
And they built up on that. Like, you need to be able to do snowballing, and that's principle of how you develop stuff. That you start really small, but you make sure you know your target, at least roughly, like the vision, like 5 years, 10 years. What do you want to build in really, really far away? And then you start snowballing. And every roll, like initially you roll really, really quickly because you have really small ball, right? So every turn, it's really quick. I need to be sure that every turn, you still have in mind the vision, right? And there's snowballing. And suddenly, you have really, really big ball of technologies which you're rolling. And the question is, did you make sure, or during all of the cycles, you had this target in your mind? Because if you don't, you will lose it, right? You will just go a different way. And to stop this, it's impossible anymore, right? So, and that's also a benefit of what we're trying to do with hybrid. And that's why I believe in a hybrid cloud in reality. My now go-to word to explain this is everybody is a hyperscaler now, right? Like, if you are...
Do you really believe that?
Yeah, I do. Like, that's what we built. And what we learned, if you want to build something on-prem which is similar to the cloud-like experience means for me that you remove the people from the process. So if you have any ticket on the way between you and your application, other than I want this application, or ideally you have direct self-service, you log in and you are able to go to the catalog and you're able to deploy stuff. That's the ultimate goal. And then beyond that point, no people touching the stuff, just observing, right? They set up stuff and they're observing and they make sure it works. It's performant, it's secured and everything, but they do this without requiring something from you, right? So, and that's how public cloud works, right? That's the experience. That's the cloud-like means. No people touching beyond this self-service portal. Everything beyond that point, it's automation. No direct people sending tickets and configuring stuff and pushing pipelines, starting workflows. No, like, you cannot just do that. It will always, the experience, the comfort will be gone, like, will go away. So that's what we try to build. We realized really quickly that whatever we deploy for these big companies, it stayed, right? And it always depends on us how well we understood the goal, like what we're delivering. If you understood it well, it survived 10 years, 15 years till now. There's clouds we built, 10 years ago, it's still working. And there are clouds, very big even clouds, which were dead in 3 years. And that's just about it. If you didn't understand the value, the target goal in the beginning, and you just create huge amount of business requirements or whatever requirements at the beginning, like create extremely complicated system, you over-engineer that. And that's the problem of private cloud or private anything on-prem. This over-engineering, huge amount of requests, which leads to really, really complicated system, takes years to deploy, and then in the end of the year, end of the way, after 2 years, it doesn't work because work move on, right? And suddenly you don't deploy virtual machines anymore. You deploy containers and you can start all over again. That's, I think, what's slowing down on-prem. And that's what we try to address with our abstraction. We build abstraction layer above all of that. We pick the basic services from everywhere, public cloud and private cloud and edge and everything. We took these elements and we built our abstraction above that. So you have centralized API, automation, CLI, UI, everything which you can use as a self-service, but it's not self-service in the way that it will create ticket in the system. It's a service which will do the thing, right? And
that will do, and just to be clear, because I don't know enough about the solution, it will do that whether that is on-premises or on-premises, like on the cloud or in the cloud or on-prem?
Yeah, same way.
Okay, and they'll be seamless to me.
Yes.
Okay, so one of the questions I was going to have is, the challenge with hybrid in the past was you had two separate processes, two separate procedures, or maybe more, one for each different type of cloud provider, one for different types of technologies, whether it was Windows or Linux or whatever. It's just uniform now, no matter what. It's
uniform, yeah. Same thing, same API.
That's incredible.
Yeah, the thing is that you need to focus on the core value of what you try to build.
Yeah.
Again, if you will try to, and I think that's the disservice of public cloud, right? Is that there's 160 services or 250 services and APIs and endpoints and integrations. It basically, public cloud now became same as a private cloud years ago. It's same really, really complex, extremely complex thing. But it's up to you how you will go and build your service. If you will just go all in, which some do, you over-engineer your solution because there's requirements and there's like generic requirements like compliance and something like that. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to build. If there's compliance, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to build it exactly like with all the 160 services just to provide that. It's not true. It's just about you to focus on the core value. Don't over-engineer. You don't need to have all the features on the planet. It's like candy shop for engineers, right? They go crazy and they are really quickly, then you have the sugar rush and then you have this huge fall after that. Like it's exactly what it is.
Well, let's talk about workloads though, because I suppose there's one thing to talk about provisioning infrastructure as a service, but where the value gets created, to your point about value for the business, is the application, the workload. And one of the hottest workloads right now is the combination of big data and AI, particularly private AI, and I think being able to control your models and your data and combine it with public cloud data. Talk to me about what you're seeing in the marketplace as it comes to deploying things like these big data workloads.
That's very correct. That's one of our principles that we are, I think, only company who work with Kubernetes as one of the tools. It's a central piece of what we do. It's Kubernetes. But we are only company who said, forget about Kubernetes, right? We try to build something which we called invisible Kubernetes. It's just there.
And if people don't know what Kubernetes is, by the way?
Yeah, it's a container management platform. Something if you go to EKS or something like that, or services in public cloud, a lot of pieces or applications are shipped as containers, but you need some orchestration to be able to do storage network policies and other things.
And that's what Kubernetes
is.
So invisible Kubernetes, sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah. So Kubernetes, again, it's platform. You can do whatever you want, extremely complex things again. And that's, again, we abstracting even that. And I absolutely 100% agree that it's about workload and workload only. It's not about the infrastructure. And that's why we don't want anyone to touch the infrastructure. We want to abstract completely the infrastructure. But we still allow for you to go and tinker with it. You can do and you can explore. But in production environments, you shouldn't touch that, right? You should follow the best practices because then you can focus finally for your workload, right? And you shouldn't go from the workload down. Like the infrastructure should be there. That's what we're doing in Taikun. We focus on the workload. We're trying to provide not just like Kubernetes, but we call it this cloud native ecosystem. It means that there's monitoring, backup, security, all is there already. There's self-service. We build abstraction above that. So we don't care, in fact, about Kubernetes features. Of course, we do because workload requires them. But what we care about is the user experience from the point of view, not like if you have nice UI or something. That's not the experience from my point of view. User experience is that they are in this pinnacle of abstraction, and they are sit on top, and they can deploy their workload, and based on their workload, the infrastructure will work. That's the ultimate goal. Are we there? Let's say 90% now. And thanks to Cloudera, I believe really early next year will be 99% there.
That's amazing. So I was going to ask the question, what are people who are using workloads like the Cloudera platform of capabilities, what are they going to notice that's different about this new way of working as they start to deploy?
It's thin ice a bit because I don't want to criticize, because if you say that something's different, you need to say that something was not great.
That's why I say different, not better, because it really is just different.
Exactly, it's different point of view, like how it works. So Cloudera exists for a long time, right? With Hortonworks and everything, they joined and they had really, really complex time, because they are from the times of cloud, from this 2010 and onward, right? And they shine there, they built robust platforms where you can really handle huge amount of data at the same time, and it's really reliable. And then they added services on top, so you can have the experiences and other things. The limitation of this approach is that this is one thing, right? And it behaves as one uniform thing. And at a certain point, it became really complex, right? To maintain and manage, and really complex point of view that you need a lot of know-how on your side to be able to work with it. And that's what we try to provide. We are now the abstraction layer for Cloudera services. So Cloudera services will be independent on that environment, so they can run on public, private cloud, on your like few servers or hundreds of servers, thousands of servers, and still same experience. You can now run as many as of them you want, connect them to as many as of endpoints you want, and you can choose where you can combine. It's not public cloud or hybrid cloud and then configure it. No, it's like one thing, and you can just choose where it will run. You can use both. You can run your production environments, which you can scale, and the scale on-prem because of data sovereignty and whatever. And you can play with technologies in public cloud because you can scale up and down from 0 to 100 in the minutes. So you can combine these approaches.
Amazing. If people are thinking now, they're listening and saying to themselves, whether they're more of an on-prem company or they're cloud first, cloud native, or maybe they are doing both, but they're disconnected at the moment, which is probably most people, right? They treat them as separate estates. What do people need to do to start to prepare to get ready for this new world? Is it something they can just instantly drop in and it's a technology problem? Or how much of this is a people problem where you need to start to get people to think differently? What do I need to do to get ready to get the most out of hybrid?
As we are a small startup, right, we can choose our customers, right? So you can go both ways. Like you can choose your approach. You can really go my preferred way, which we built together with Cedric and other guys in our team. We imagined the way we call this golden path, right? You can go our golden path, and it will be really seamless to you and really simple. And you can really have really, really powerful things really, really quickly. It takes 7 to 15 minutes to deploy a Kubernetes cluster. If you have a really big one, it can take 30 minutes, for example, and then deploy the workload can take 15 to 20 minutes. So you can, in 1 hour, you can have really, really big, complex infrastructure ready for you, only for you, or for your team, because we have the abstraction to be able to do multi-tenancy and segmentation and resource control. It's everything built in. So you can go that way, or you can go somewhere in between. We still support virtual machine. You can still run your old good virtual machine side by side of this environment. We allow for that. We are able to import existing Kubernetes clusters you have already deployed in your environments. So we built in both ways for to be able to go both ways. Because what I understand, I am not the guy who said let's remake everything. It's not possible. Everything in enterprise, there's continuity of business. There's loads of amount of know-how built in the structures already in processes. We cannot just replace them.
Yeah.
Right? It's not possible. It is possible, but not in the matter of months, right? So both approaches will be there. And in Cloudera products, if you choose to not interface with this new world, it will be embedded for you. You will not even see this Taikun piece. It will be just, if you choose to, and you like how you have it, we will not force you to change that. You can go the same way. You can still have one huge environment, and as you have for 15 years, you are able to do it. We don't block you. We just offer more freedom And one important thing which I forget to mention is open ecosystem. So you are in fact able, and Sergio mentioned that on many times on stages now on Evolves. So I know I can publicly say that you are able to bring your own workload side by side. So the main difference in CDP, for example, it was one platform and it was closed ecosystem for Cloudera. Now, if you will have Cloudera with Taikun in it, you can bring your own stuff. We will, you cannot send us ticket, it doesn't work, of course, but because your Postgre have some issues, but you can do it. So if you have your internal know-how, you can have your data estate with Cloudera services, and side by side of that, you can run your Postgre or Trino or open source version of it, or your internal source of version of it, or your rebuild, so you can do whatever you want side by side.
How much of a challenge is going to be the people and the culture part of this? Because it is a new way of working for many people. Have you noticed that managers need to do something with the people to get them ready for this new way of working?
So for public cloud people, it's no difference, right? Because we have same interfaces. Like our Taikun CloudWorks, it's basically AWS console, if I should compare it, for imagination. Same thing. Like you go there, there's portal, you see services, there's app catalog, you can choose, you can deploy. It's a little bit different because you can choose where it will run. Not just region, but on what version of Kubernetes, for example, you can keep it longer and things like that, or virtual machines. It's a little bit different workflow, but we're really similar from API point of view, automation point of view. We have Terraform, we have Crossplane, there's Go clients, there's Python's client, there's REST API. For public cloud,
business as usual.
Business as usual. For private cloud people, they are not really used to that because they as private or on-prem is slower. A lot of technologies which are basically 15, 20 years old in concept, of course, they're updated and move on. But even things like, of course, there's VMware estate, huge globally, one of the most successful companies in the virtualization. And let's say Ely Cloud, they have a lot of things which are named cloud, but not really cloud-like. From this, what we discussed, but they have a lot of things like that. But we are able to connect there as well and cloudify them as well, right? That's the different approach. This is different concept for them because they are not used to do multi-tenancy and to be able to deploy across, to basically let people directly deploy their own stuff. They usually are the guys, they are the gatekeepers who, you need to request some resources from someone and then they will do it for you and then they will give it to you. This is different workflow. This is self-service and you are observer, right? You are on the side. But it's still DevOps principles, core principles, same. They are there. Automation, GitOps.
Shift left.
Exactly. Yeah, you can do these things.
Love it. Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to learn more and see more. This is, it feels to me like a breakthrough that we've been waiting for a long time. If people are interested in learning more, where can they go?
Just go cloudera.com and follow the path. There will be blogs, there will be links, and there will be definitely Taikun related content.
Love it. Perfect. Adam, thank you so much for joining us. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
If you like what you've heard, or if you've got comments or questions for Adam or the rest of the team, make sure to hit us up in the comment section below, or go to LinkedIn at Cloudera is the handle you want to use. We'd love to hear from you. We've got a bunch of great content coming up. So if you like what you've heard, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss another drop. With that, we'll see you all next week.